You're watching South Asia Newsline, and here are the top stories we are tracking for you on Friday, the 25th of April. Indian Army Chief visits Kashmir. Pakistan violates ceasefire at LoC. Pakistan announces tit-for-tat actions after India degrades diplomatic ties. And UNFPA calls Afghanistan humanitarian priority amid crisis. And now for all the details. As search operations continue in India's Jammu and Kashmir over the Pahalgam attack, Indian Army Chief General Upendra Dwivedi on Friday arrived in the Union territory to take stock of the situation and for on-spot assessment. We have a report.
Amid the heightened tension and continuous search operations across the Kashmir Valley by security forces, Indian Army Chief General Upendra Dwivedi arrived in Jammu and Kashmir to take stock of the situation. General Dwivedi was briefed about the developments by senior officials of Chinar Corps, reports have suggested. The visit comes days after the scenic meadow of Pahalgam in India's Jammu and Kashmir was rocked by a terrorist attack that killed 26 men, including 2 military personnel on leave. The attack was claimed by the Resistance Front, an offshoot of Pakistan-based terror outfit Lashkar-e-Taiba. Emphasizing the cross-border aid for terrorism, India has announced a slew of measures against Pakistan, including closure of the only land crossing of Atari and keeping the 1960 Indus Water Treaty at abeyance.
Army Chief is visiting Kashmir Valley today and to have an on-the-spot assessment of how the things happened in Pahalgam, Baisara, where innocent tourists were killed, massacred by the Pakistan-trained terrorists, and what are the security lapses, if any, and what are the steps required that could be done to plug in all the gaps at the LoC and other places for stopping the infiltration.
While India is yet to take any military action against the terror launch pads like it did following the attacks in Uri in 2016 and Pulwama in 2019, exchange of fire was reported at the line of control in the early hours of Friday. According to a statement by the Indian Army, small arms firing was initiated by the Pakistan Army at the LoC. The fire was effectively responded by the Indian Army, and no casualties were reported, an Indian Army official said in a statement to ANI.
A shattered Pakistan is bound to do all this that it is now trying to do. The moment the attack on Pahalgam happened, the Pakistan Air Force, all the planes were brought to the borders of India and Pakistan. They were deployed there, all the fighter aircrafts, and Pakistan knew that India is going to take certain strong steps. But now it is clearly showing that Pakistan is now shattered, it is scared, and that is why ceasefire violations.
And as India mourns, the government responds swiftly, suspending key treaties and tightening security. The terror attack raises critical questions about the motive and timing behind this horrifying strike. We have a report. A deadly terror attack has once again shaken the Kashmir Valley, striking at the heart of peaceful Pahalgam in Jammu and Kashmir and claiming the lives of innocent tourists. As shock and grief grip the region, pressing questions emerge. Who orchestrated the attack? What was the motive behind it? And most crucially, why now? ANI explains.
इनको भी ऐसे ही होना चाहिए जैसे मेरे भाई को किए इन लोगों ने 3 गोलियां मारी क्या करेंगे अब कहां से ढूंढेंगे भैया बहुत प्यार करता था वो मेरे से
Just weeks ago, Kashmir was basking in a rare season of peace, with the centre actively promoting it as a tourism and investment hub. Tourists, both Indian and from abroad, flocked to the valley, enjoying shikara rides, treks in Gulmarg, and a thriving hospitality sector. In May 2023, Srinagar even hosted the G20 Tourism Working Group, drawing over 60 foreign delegates. Since the abrogation of Article 370 in 2019, tourism and infrastructure had steadily improved in the Kashmir Valley. But this progress was jolted by a deadly terrorist attack in the Pahalgam, where the terrorists killed at least 26 tourists and injured many.
मेरा भाई चिरो निद्रा पे सो गया सारा दिन के लिए मैं मेरा भाई को नहीं पाऊंगा 10 साल से, लेकिन मेरा भाई होते हुए मैं इतना ही गर्व कर रहा हूं। मेरा भाई जैसे आया, इतना भीड़ देख के मैं प्राउड फील कर रहा हूं।
The attack has reignited fears about the return of a darker chapter in the valley's history. Grief-stricken, the victim's family in the Pahalgam terror attack urged the Indian government to ensure the culprits are brought to justice.
हम इंतजामिया से, गवर्नमेंट से ये अपील करते हैं कि इस कानूनी साजिश का पर्दा बेनकाब होना चाहिए, ताकि आइंदा भी ऐसे मजलूम लोगों के साथ ऐसा कोई वाक़ा न हो, क्योंकि ये हमारी कश्मीरियत पर, हमारे इलाके पर, इस पहलगाम के साथ मुंह पर ये एक वो धब्बा है, दाग लग गया, जो ये दाग मिटाना बहुत हमारे लिए मुश्किल है।
India has responded swiftly and decisively to the terror attack. India has formally written to Pakistan informing it about New Delhi's decision to keep the Indus Waters Treaty in abeyance with immediate effect, saying Islamabad breached treaty conditions. Signed in 1960, the treaty allocates the eastern rivers, Satluj, Beas and Ravi to India and the western rivers, Indus, Jhelum and Chenab to Pakistan. The Atari Wagah integrated checkpost has also been closed with immediate effect, and Pakistani nationals will no longer be allowed entry under the SAARC visa exemption scheme. Diplomatic ties between the two countries were weak even before the latest measures were announced, as Pakistan had expelled India's envoy and not posted its own ambassador in New Delhi after India revoked the semi-autonomous status of Kashmir in 2019.
Pakistan continues to use terrorism as an instrument of state policy, and therefore, once the Indus Water Treaty is held in abeyance, this will definitely affect, because Pakistan is water stressed. So you will soon find it may not affect immediately tomorrow, but within no time, Pakistan will be converted into desert, because India has been magnanimous in giving almost 80% of these water.
The resistance front has claimed responsibility for the attack. Despite denials by Islamabad, Indian intelligence consistently cites evidence of cross-border support, including training, logistics, and ideological backing for groups. At least a dozen banned terror outfits operate in Pakistan-occupied Jammu and Kashmir, many of which have links to Pakistan's deep state. These groups include Lashkar-e-Taiba, Jaish-e-Mohammed, Hizbul Mujahideen, Tehreek-ul-Mujahideen, Harkat-ul-Jihad-e-Islami, among others.
This is just the first step. These are the non-kinetic first steps that the government has taken to change the rules of engagement with Pakistan. That is no longer business as usual. So no coming, no going visas. They will not be allowed, that we don't want them. Basically, this is the message, that we don't want them. We don't want to see them in our country, and those who are here will have to leave.
The Pahalgam attack occurred just as US Vice President J.D. Vance arrived in India on an official visit. Every time India and the US move closer, violence seems to follow. So is it a coincidence or something deeper? In March 2000, President Bill Clinton visits India. On the same day, 38 Sikhs are massacred in Chittisinghpura village of Anantnag district in Kashmir. On May 14, 2002, as US Assistant Secretary of State, Christina Rocca visited India, 3 militants attacked an army station in Kaluchak, Jammu and Kashmir. They hurled grenades from a bus, opened fire on passengers, then stormed the military complex, killing 36 people, including women and children, before being neutralized. Terrorism and terrorists find no support among the people of Jammu and Kashmir today. From candlelight vigils to public protests, citizens are standing united, resisting violence and demanding justice.
जो कायराना हरकत जो इन दहशतगर्दों ने की, जिसमें जो हमारे मेहमान हमारे यहाँ पे आए थे, जिस तरह इन दहशतगर्दों ने ये कायराना हरकत की, हम सब इसकी मजम्मत करते हैं.
The Pahalgam attack has intensified the already strained relations between India and Pakistan, leading to a series of retaliatory measures from both sides. The situation remains volatile with the potentials for further escalation. World leaders are urging both nations to exercise restraint and engage in dialogue to prevent a larger conflict. The Valley is watching, so is the world, and so are we. And the day after New Delhi announced multiple measures against Pakistan over its support for cross-border terrorism in India, Islamabad responded in a tit-for-tat manner. Following a meeting of National Security Committee by Pakistan's Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif, Pakistan announced a slew of countermeasures against India. According to a statement from Sharif's office, Islamabad, like New Delhi, has ordered suspension of trade, including that from a third country with its eastern neighbor. Along with that, Pakistan also shut down the Wagah border crossing, declared the Indian defense advisors at Islamabad mission persona non grata, a move similar to New Delhi. On suspension of Indus Water Treaty, Islamabad called the move as act of war and said it will hold all bilateral agreements with India, including but not limited to similar agreement in abeyance. Additionally, it also shut down the Pakistani airspace for all India-owned or Indian-operated airlines. Diplomatic relations between the two countries were weak even before the latest measures were announced, as both countries had called back their ambassadors after tensions reached peak following India's removal of the semi-autonomous status of Kashmir in 2019. And as New Delhi holds Islamabad responsible for backing cross-border attacks, Pakistan Defence Minister himself confessed to international media about Islamabad's long history of aiding terrorists. A report.
As tension peaks between India and Pakistan over New Delhi's accusations against Islamabad of aiding cross-border terrorism, a video of the so-called Tea Prime Minister of Pakistan-occupied Jammu and Kashmir, along with Pakistan's defense minister, has gone viral over Pakistan's support for terrorism and praising the terrorist. In a viral video of early April, which was supposedly of an address of a government event, Chaudhary Anwar-ul-Haq heaped praises on the terrorists and said they will continue to attack India with full strength. Haq's admission of state-sponsored terrorism further got fueled after Pakistan Defence Minister Khawaja Asif admitted to Islamabad aiding terrorists in the past. Talking to UK-based media platform Sky News on Friday, Asif, on a question about Pakistan's long history of supporting, training and funding terrorist organisations, admitted Pakistan has been doing this dirty work for 3 decades for other countries. Activists have demanded the time has come for sanctioning Pakistan over its export of terrorism.
This is very unfortunate that in recent months, the so-called Prime Minister of Azad Jammu and Kashmir and some TV anchors like Najm Sethi in Pakistan have been advocating cross-border military operations, and the carnage that inflicted against innocent tourists in Pahalgam is the outcome of those policies and jihadi slogans which have been the part of media and policy in Muzaffarabad and in Islamabad and also in other parts of the region.
India has long accused Pakistan aids and supports terrorists for conducting attacks in India. New Delhi multiple times in the past has said relations with Islamabad cannot be normal until Pakistan takes actions against terror outfits operating from its soil.
Afghanistan remains a top humanitarian priority for the United Nations Population Fund, which supported over 900,000 people in 2024 despite operational challenges under Taliban rule. In its regional report released on Thursday, UNFPA, which focuses on sexual and reproductive health, said that it provided 25,000 plus dignity kits, equipped 1,119 health facilities, deployed 46 mobile teams, and distributed over 2,800 emergency kits. It also offered psychosocial care for survivors of violence, vital in a country where women face rising isolation and abuse. Regional Director P.O. Smith stressed even in the most politically constrained environments, women and girls must not be left behind. The agency urged continued global support to maintain basic care access. This comes as the U.S. has cut nearly $24 million grant to UNFPA for work in Afghanistan. Experts believe the aid cut off could unleash new economic instability in the country. And Bangladesh Nationalist Party Senior Joint Secretary General Ruhul Kabir Rizvi on Thursday criticized the interim government, saying it has failed to reflect the hopes of the country's democratic forces. Formed after a violent pro-democracy movement, the interim setup lacks a strong foundation for democracy, Rizvi claimed. While acknowledging some progress, he said there is no clear roadmap for democratic reforms. Rizvi accused Awami League leaders of threatening the government, disrespecting the judiciary, and influencing law enforcement. He said Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina's associates are acting with impunity due to their deep-rooted presence in law enforcement agencies. Rizvi warned that without strong action, covert groups aligned with the ruling party will continue fueling political unrest. And Sri Lanka will begin work next month on plans to develop an energy hub with India and the UAE, aiming to boost its post-crisis economic recovery by leveraging its strategic location. The deal was signed during Indian PM Modi's recent visit, the first by a world leader since President Anura Kumara Dissanayake took office in September. The hub, located in Trincomalee, will include a multi-product pipeline, bunkering facilities, and possibly a refinery. It will also revamp a World War II-era storage tank farm, partly owned by Indian Oil's Sri Lankan arm. Representatives from Ceylon Petroleum, Indian Oil, and AD Ports will meet in late May to finalize a business plan. President Dissanayake also met UAE Deputy PM in Colombo to discuss energy ties. Separately, China's Sinopy has signed a $3.2 billion deal to build an oil refinery in Hambantota in southern Sri Lanka. That's all in tonight's edition. We will see you same time next week. Have a great weekend. Good night.